It comes as no shock to any sports fan that men's sports are much more viewed and popular than any women's sports. Football is one of the most watched sports in our country, and men's soccer is the most watched worldwide. It just has always been a predominantly male area, but in the recent years, there's been a huge rise of women's sports, whether that be professionally or at the collegiate level. Two of the biggest growing professional women's sports are the Professional Women's Hockey League and the Women's National Basketball Association. I mentioned in my previous vlog that I am currently an intern for the Alabama women's hockey team. This is our first official season with real opponents and actual games. So it's been really cool to watch the growth of this program and the support that it's received from the other men's hockey teams and also just other club teams that we've seen. We went to a women's volleyball game and ran into the men's club volleyball team, and they ended up coming out to our game the next night, which was really awesome to have that support. This year, we have gained over 20,000 followers on TikTok, which is what I focus on. And we also have gained a lot of followers on Instagram. So for me, working for the women's hockey team, seeing the Professional Women's Hockey League grow has been really cool. It was founded in 2023, and right now there are only 6 franchises. Alongside that, the Women's National Basketball Association is currently growing, and so is women's basketball at the collegiate level. This can be heavily credited to Caitlin Clark, who broke the record last season for the most scored points in women's basketball NCAA history.
Covered by Gabby Marshall. Here comes Clark. How will she go for history? There it is! The all-time leading scorer in women's college basketball.
Which is really awesome and brought a lot of attention to the sport, as well as LSU's Angel Reese, who was another really talented player. The two started to have a rivalry. The rivalry was fun to watch and it did bring in a lot of viewers, but the hate that both sides received was just really unfortunate. They're both now in the WNBA. Caitlin Clark was the first overall pick, which was a shock to absolutely nobody, and they have done a lot for women's sports between the two of them. Talking about the collegiate level, there are also many other club teams at other schools that are currently working to grow. One specific that I have the ability to talk about and have information on is Florida State's women's lacrosse team.
I believe was the score.
The double OT thriller, and Florida State takes down the Boston College Golden Eagles.
Has been a club team that has been dominating for the past few seasons, and Title IX came into play and kind of fell into their line of vision within the past 2 years or so. It is a rule that is in place to make sure that women's teams are getting sufficient funding in comparison to men's teams, because as I mentioned previously, men's sports are just a lot more popular than women's. Florida State had a really incredible football season, which led to them making a lot more money, and it opened up opportunities for them to add another D1 team. So they will be having a D1 women's lacrosse team starting in 2026. One of my best friends is on the club team and has served on exec for them for several years. She's currently the vice president. So I did get a statement from her. It's with it, as she was someone that was in a lot of those calls and meetings.
It's something like fish in a barrel, it's no different. Blindfold on me, I still got the most vision. Trendsetter told them before, but they don't listen.
Alongside the growth of leagues and associations in women's sports, there's also been a lot more attention on the female athletes, which typically has only happened to male athletes in the past. Alona Mare is one of the current names that is huge in the media. She's currently on Dancing with the Stars, and she was also a member of the U.S. Olympics rugby team this past summer, where they won the bronze medal. She gained a platform based off her positivity, and a lot of young girls really look up to her. And now that she is on Dancing with the Stars, she has even more so grown her audience. I personally was not a fan of her until I watched the show. I just wasn't aware of really who she was. So that's one example. Not only are female sports becoming much more popular and gaining more viewership, but there are also females breaking into different areas of the industry. Jessica Campbell, she is currently the first one to ever be behind the bench in the entire history of the National Hockey League. She is currently an assistant coach for the Seattle Kraken, and she was appointed in July. This is her first season, and she did some coaching and some drills with players before she became a coach for the NHL. She currently is making history. Seattle Kraken fans love her, and they say that she's doing amazing things for their team. All in all, I'm really happy for all of the women athletes and females in the sports industry that women's sports are finally getting the attention that they deserve, and you should definitely tune in because it's a lot more entertaining than you may think.